So we have an English-speaking program today. My Dandavad Pranam to every one of you. Considering I'm fallen soul, I'm trying to uplift myself in spiritual practice. There's a great fortune to be able to purify your own consciousness by sharing Krishna consciousness with other devotees. And see, it appeared to be that, we are looking for a superior association. But every time we speak about Krishna consciousness with faith and belief, that is superior association by itself. Of course, hearing from self-realized souls is a great privilege, but consider we're fallen souls, we'll just repeat what we've heard from the sages. Of course, we'll try to put our own consciousness into it. And sometimes some new realizations coming to us. Like today, I spoke with one girl, and she wrote me something about. She wrote about holy name. She's very intellectual, and a spiritual person. And something she said, she wake up in the midst of night and she started writing. And she wrote a few interesting things. And the way they're interesting because they're basically Vedic ideas, but in a modern language using some other terminology. But I've listened to what she wrote, and I said, well, that's an interesting thing that you're writing about holy name of God and many different religions, many different cultures. But the ideal way would be the end of your story would be to reveal Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu. Because when we speak about names of God, we know that most religions have just external understanding, creator, destroyer, etc. So in the Vedas, we'll find, in the depth of Vedas, we'll find very, very deep idea of internal name, like Madhurya Nam, as our teachers mention. And we can understand, like Brahmanas, they're chanting Vishnu Sahasranam, 1,000 name of Vishnu, that give you different idea of God's position, the creator, the destroyer, the almighty, etc. But when we move from that distant to close distant, then we can, in a very close distant relationship with God, with Krishna, we'll find that he's full of sweet qualities. He's a loving being. He's got 4 unique qualities: Venu Madhurya, Gita Madhurya, Rupa Madhurya, etc. So everything Krishna does is Madhurya. So Bilmavangal Thakur is one of his poetry. He speaks Madhuram Madhuram, Bhajate Madhuram Madhurasi Vibhor Madhuram Madhunam. So he's talking about sweetness, his eyes sweet, his lips sweet, his whole form is sweet. And that sweetness, charm, and attraction, that's what taking our heart, that's what conquering our heart. So we can pretty much believe in God, but what's our perception of God, the creator, destroyer? That's very distasteful. It brings Aishwarya, it can bring fear. See, a lot of religions, they try to, market you the God concept so that you can feel the fear. Oh, you have to become a good boy because, this guy, he's like artificial intellect. He's like a video camera. He's going to trace you everywhere. He's going to track your every thought and every movement. And you're like, hey, that's what people are trying to do right now in the modern humanity. They try to use humanity, they try to use technology to control humans. And that's what the future is. Their future is like, hey, we're going to control everything you do, everywhere you're going. We're going to control every thing you consume. But the final story, we also want to control your mind. Like everybody want to control your mind. So it's an interesting way, the idea of control. But what Krishna tried to do, he's not trying to control the mind. He's trying to reveal his beautiful, sweet nature so that mind is naturally drawing towards Krishna. And as more mind become purified, as more it will find fulfillment in Krishna and Krishna pastimes and Krishna divine forms and his relationship with his devotees. And then the whole different idea who the God is as appearing in front of you. So instead of dealing with some kind of a police, general policeman, a controller, and government, the government trying to keep the power, you're dealing with somebody who's very wonderful, very sweet, playful, charming, who will appear in front of you as your child, as your lover, as your friend, and whose every step is dance and every word is a melodic song. So that is Krishna consciousness. This is a very, very beautiful, very deep idea. And unfortunately, or fortunately maybe, this idea is not been exposed in any of the religions that we know. So in fact, my perception about religions that been catered to us, they're actually, it's very difficult to really call them the religion, because we can understand that some spiritual vague ideas, mainly made for public control, mainly been politicized, absolutely politicized, and they were brought to at least morals or some kind of a social moral principles. But they have very little rasa, they have very little taste for beauty. Like, it's all about, Father, forgive me sin, and it's all about feeling of compassion, but it's not about celebrating the pastimes of Supreme Lord and feel joy and sweetness of his divine form, his divine pastimes, his divine names. That's why the movement of Sankirtan that Mahaprabhu brought, it's basically to celebrate, divine holy names of Supreme Lord, not just any kind of name. So some people say, well, you can chant name Jesus, you can chant name Buddha, you can chant this mantra, that mantra. Yes, in general, we can say, yes, all the routes lead to God. But when we talk about word God, what do we understand under the word God? The Brahman, the pervasive consciousness, or Paramatma, his atomic presence, or his Madhurya pastimes, his pastimes of Sri Krishna and Radharani. And therefore, the Lord himself came as a devotee, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to bring all these beautiful, sweet pastimes to conditioned souls. And only that consciousness, only that divine prospect can truly liberate souls. See, it's not about getting a little better karma and take a little better birth in the next life, or get a little worse karma and go to hell for some time, etc. No. When we say about liberation, the word liberation means mukti, but actually without love, there is no true liberation. So liberation of love, that's what Krishna consciousness is. And, we're all going to enter, we're all going to end our physical existence. Actually, our physical existence so unimportant. See people fighting for the human rights and to extend the human life, etc. But, right now, people are very much confused. Why is that they're trying to shorten population? Well, the idea is very simple. We don't need that many gods and ships. Like, we were driving our car yesterday, and we found so many rabbits sitting on the road. And then, we saw some coyotes. So I just said, well, it's just too many rabbits. It's like, that's how work works. Too many rabbits, there'll be too many. So who's going to eat those rabbits? So it's kind of like, natural survival of the fittest. But what I spoke today with this girl, it was very interesting. She said she read some kind of a, esoteric book. And what the fight between evil and good explained in this book, that every system needs to be tested. And if the test will fail, then the system is not perfect. So that system is not, it's just almost like security system. If you're building security system and somebody can break your security system, your security system needs to be improved. So some of the banks and some of the, organization, what they do, they hire those hackers and they give them job instead of having hackers hacking for no reason, they'll pay you money and you try to hack their system. And that's how you earn money, by trying to break something which is built to test that. So this whole idea is like why there's evil forces in this world, why there's negative reality. But from that esoteric point of view, anything negative meant to test positive. Like when do we, how do we make difference between lemon and orange? Sometimes they may have pretty much the same color. But once you start squeezing it, you see what kind of juice is coming. And where you'll find test of your humility, when you get humiliated, when you get test of your patience, when you need to be in a situation where you just need to be patient. Otherwise, you can think, I'm very humble, I'm very patient, I'm very spiritual. A lot of people think they're super spiritual. It's funny. Of course, everyone has spiritual nature, but a lot of people just thinking, hey, I'm super spiritual person. I'm such a divine person. Like, I truly, I just passed 10 days Vipassana. I unplug my mobile phone. I really connect with myself. Yeah, that might be, spiritual compared to unspiritual stage of your mind. But how can you understand the depth of spirituality? And especially how you measure your own depth of spirituality. So you need to be tested. And like in my tests, I failed many of them. So my conclusion about myself, well, I might appear very spiritual for others. I might speak about spiritual things. But from my own perspective, I think I fail in many, many ways. Then somebody say, well, Maharaj, you are admitting you're not perfect. Then why you teach? Well, I can tell you why I teach. I teach to learn. I don't teach because I'm kind of a great teacher and I give you full instruction how to live your life, and I go smoke while you're trying hard. And they're like, so did you try? It's not like what Krsna consciousness is all about. It's about sharing your heart, sharing your appreciation, and realizing that you are not perfect. But when we're talking about like how much perfect the guru has to be. Yeah, Rupa Goswami giving some definitions. But also we understand in the absence of Mahabhagavat Vaishnava, which normally we have absence of Mahabhagavat Vaishnava. It's not like, hey, let me walk my dog. I'm going to go and see some Mahabhagavat Vaishnava sitting on benches and I talk to them. No, even in time of Bhaktivinoda Thakura, it took him 10 years to find Chaitanya Charitamrita. He would come to meeting of Vaishnavas, and sometimes he would meet some great Vaishnava. There's always great Vaishnava, but you have to find it. But you can also see a lot of the great Vaishnavas, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they were actually hiding in a particular external form. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a head of police, he was a judgeman, he was a very respectable guy. But who could understand this person who has 13 children, some of them die, and his first wife died. This person who has 13 children, work as a judge, work as a policeman, a writer, intellectual. He's actually an expansion of Gadadhara Pandit. And it's an interesting way, like Krishna coming to this world as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Krishna is coming to test and feel the feelings of Radharani. So it's not the Krishna's work. It's not usual for Krishna to become Radharani, to become his supreme devotee. So Krishna's shy, he doesn't know what to do. So Radharani coming with him as a Gadadhara Pandit. And an interesting thing, when you learn how to fly a plane, or when you learn how to drive, how you drive with somebody next to you. So normally the instructor, he will sit with you and he will guide you. Okay, you drive slow, okay, okay, slow, okay, turn, okay, do this, do that. So it's like when you learn how to drive, somebody has to drive with you. So when Krishna has to measure the feelings and loving deep feelings of Radharani, what is Krishna doing? He's telling Radharani, no, you should accompany me. I don't know what to be like. I don't know how to be you. You have to guide me. Radharani said, yes, of course, I will guide you. So she appears as a Gadadhara Pandit, very, very humble, and she's following Mahaprabhu. And the way she's guiding Mahaprabhu, she's reading Mahaprabhu the Bhagavad. The sloka is about love. The poetry is about love. So it's amazing that Krishna, who's trying to, get into the feelings of devotee, he needs somebody to guide him. And that very divine person is Gadadhara Pandit, this very divine identity. That's why sometimes we chant Gora Gadadhara, Gora Gadadhara. And Guru Maharaj used that Gora Gadadhara divine mystic sound in a very beautiful way of his poetry. But that Gora Gadadhara, he's the deity of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's one of our guru, actually guru is Baladev, but we can understand in Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we also know guru is Radharani. So Gadadhara Pandit is expansion of Raga Marg, deep feelings of Krishna consciousness. He's acting through Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. How can you understand all these things? People couldn't understand the person that his name is Kedarnath Babu, a respectable judge. He's actually, channeling the divine energy of Srimati Radharani and Gadadhara Pandit specifically for Gaur Lila. Very, very mysterious, very mysterious. So then, by hearing about Krishna, hearing about all these wonderful things, our heart will melt, and finally our anarthas will go away. But just like this girl, she told me, we need to be tested. Every one of us, we have to pass the test. And if we fail the test, then we have to learn more of our lessons. So to make mistakes is not a problem. To fail the test is not a problem. What it tells us that we're not ready. We're not ready yet. So see, in a lot of situations, self-confidence very good, but not in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, you still need a self-confidence, but you have to be confident in Guru Vaishnavas and the process more than in yourself. Because if you judge yourself from point of your ego, you will stop your spiritual practice and you will deviate because you will make wrong judgment about yourself. And if you see, many great, warriors, the warlords, they fail the battlefield because they had false perception about their own power. So it says in the book of Art of War, you need to know your enemy very well, but you need to know also yourself very well. Like you need to study your enemy. So we need to study Maya, the greed, lust, temptations, very powerful feelings. They always live in our heart, and they always live near word love. Because we're not saying, oh, I have lust, oh, I have desire for love, I have inquiry for love, but love is something very deep and very high. And lust is something which appeared to be a, tendency of love. So you need to know your enemies. You need to know who your enemies are and how they will take you under control. Srila Guru Maharaj say like thieves, but it's mainly coming from Raghunath Das Goswami, Manashiksha. I will post Raghunath Das Goswami Manashiksha because Raghunath Das Goswami, he's praying to his own mind. See, our own mind is artificial intellect. And that artificial intellect is very tricky because it can become your friend. Just like, people talking right now online, is artificial intellect will take over the world? Yes, it will. But can I use artificial intellect? I just used artificial intellect that showed me tremendous results. But also people say, well, a lot of people are going to lose the job because of artificial intellect. And artificial intellect is so clever that it can control all your movement, all your life with algorithms. And somebody will say, well, humans like animals, they need to be controlled. They need to be told what to do, where to throw garbage. Otherwise, if you let the human full freedom, he will be just like animal. So at this point of view, I agree. If a human is not educated, he's not been brought to the standard, the purpose of human life, yes, he's no better than animal. Actually, he's worse than animal, because animal doesn't kill unnecessarily. Animal may kill somebody if he wants to eat. You never see like lion running around just killing animals. No, lion will kill some animals. He will feed his family, and until he's hungry, he will not hunt again. So humans have a much worse nature by the conscious power that has been given to them. They always desire something more, and they always desire more position. Their lust is endless, uncontrollable. Plus, humans, they hate other humans. That's their nature as well. So all the human form of life is giving for self-realization, but we can understand once you start misusing human form of life, you can come up with craziest idea, like for instance, anti-utopia. We know all these books been written about anti-utopic world, and we know the society is going towards this anti-utopic world under slogan is the progress. But really, that anti-utopic world is the world where there is no God. See, the whole progress is like, hey, you remove the God from your own vocabulary. You try to enjoy your senses, and by the way, you'll be able to enjoy yourself much easier, much cheaper in metaverse. In metaverse, you'll have everything: sex, shopping, all drugs will be legalized, etc. Like you can fully explore your senses, your gender, your everything, but it will be under that artificial intellect that will control you like an animal. And in an interesting way, so I start testing artificial intellect, and I realize it has a lot of bullshit. And it's even speak at a particular, I would say, Californian liberal way of speaking things. It never tells you what's right or wrong. It tells you, oh, for some people this is good, for some people that good. See, it doesn't have an absolute judgment. In Krsna consciousness, it's interestingly, we do have an absolute judgment. We know what is supreme absolute. If you ask GPT-Chat, who is God? He will tell you, well, God has many forms. For somebody, maybe he's Buddha. For somebody else, maybe he's Jesus. That's true, but this is not a truthful answer. The God is somebody who has all these qualities. Like why the Vedas and Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami, they're talking about Bhagavan, Bhajaniya Guna Visheshta. He has all these supreme qualities. If there's a God, he must possess an absolute qualities and absolute wealth, absolute power, absolute beauty, absolute knowledge. That's what definition of God. But you never hear this definition of God from GPT-Chat. It just will not give it to you. So that's why we're working on our own Guru Chat, where we're going to use an artificial intellect algorithms for collecting database of great sages. And that's where we can use artificial intellect as a preacher platform. But again, you might be saying, well, can GPT-Chat replace Guru? It might be giving much better content than gurus that live right now, because GPT-Chat can search all the scriptures and give you all the things. And I can say, well, as a search system, as a library, yes, it might be a very great tool, but it will never replace the guru from point of relationship with disciple, love, compassion, appreciation, sacrifice, etc. It's just like, can robot replace mommy? Yeah, maybe robot can feed you better, can shake the baby, that baby sleep. But, mother, it's somebody for baby, somebody that, pouring love on baby. It's about love. See, that's where after women become mother, her main inner expression of love, it's not going towards the man, it's going towards the child. Because child has that innocent position that he completely depend on you. And child completely surrender on you, and you completely surrender to the child. So, so whatever, the robot will never replace mommy. It can help mommy with certain things, but it will never replace the mother's love and that feeling. So we're living in a world where it's getting more and more complex because people, they don't have any clear perception of reality. That's why it's very important for us to preach Krishna consciousness and to explain people. See, because we live in a world of ideology, but ideology nowadays, it's art. It started by Soviet and Nazis, but it become so well, it's become an art nowadays because they've learned everything about you. They've learned they track you through your email, through your social media, through your phone movement. So they have perfect algorithm to control you. So ideology is no longer something that you've been forced in. The ideology is something you're supposed to like. You're supposed to like the Nazi uniform. You're supposed to like Nazis. Then if you like Nazis, you probably most likely will behave like Nazi. You have to like, hardcore scientists. Hardcore scientists appear to be a cool guy that has doubt for everything. That's like a, profile of, you got to be like that. You have to put doubt everywhere. Like you have to doubt everything. And that's a very pro-Western idea. So you're very individual, you pro-doubt everything, but at the same time, you're very stupid because you believe in, sources of information that are, cannot be reliable. Like for instance, history. You can't really believe modern history. It's obvious. Like in the internet, there'll be a bunch of alternative historians who will show you, oh, this is not true, this is not. And they will prove to you. But again, who to believe, who to prove, you're in dilemma. So whether you believe the earth is flat, or you believe the flat earth is round, the real question is like, what's your position on this earth? All right, supposedly the earth is flat, what do you do? Or supposedly the earth is round, what do you do then? See, that's very interesting how propaganda works in this world, because you are choosing between, I would say stool and urine. Would you like some urine? Would you like some stool? But you're not choosing the truth. So this is very important. So what we need to do is we need to try to understand what is the truth, how to choose the truth, how to identify the truth. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of my favorite books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Tattva Viveka, is like search for the truth, how to identify the truth. That's what we need to do. It's like when you're going to buy fruits and vegetables, you need to understand which one is GMO, which one is organic, which one is rape, which one has better taste, which one has better quality. So when we go to Italy, to Villa Govinda ashram, I had privilege to stay sometimes 4 months in Europe. So we would go between Rome and Milan. And, with Italian devotees, they cook very simple food. They don't have much money, but their cooking is beautiful. And why their cooking is beautiful? Because when you go with them to market, they will not just buy everything and everything. They'll buy the proper vegetables, they buy the proper oil. They don't buy necessarily what's cheaper. They will try to find what is cheap price but good quality. And that's where the cooking begins, from knowing the quality of your product, to knowing from quality of something that you're trying to cook. Because something that you're trying to cook has to have some value. Yes, you can cook something very simple from very untasty, but what is the quality of oil? What is the quality of spicy? What is the quality of vegetable? If you can understand that, then you can cook beautiful food, because the next level will be how to cut, how to mix, how to do properly. It's all art. And in Krishna consciousness, cooking is super art, because you have to cook with a pure mind for Krishna. You have to offer to Krishna. So in Krishna consciousness, cooking become a meditation. Actually, to tell you honestly, I don't cook here in America so often, because my mind and a lot of time disturbed. But sometimes when I just really want to let go everything, I'll just cook for Krishna. You know, and I feel when I cook for Krishna, I'm fully concentrate. I'm fully concentrate. So think of this, in Vrindavan, what do the gopi do? They don't sit with beads and they don't chant, they don't try to do pranayam, gayatri. They don't do any of this. They cook for Krishna. They clean for Krishna. They do decoration for Krishna. They're completely absorbed in their service. And while they're doing this, they deeply think of Krishna. They remember Krishna's pastimes. They remember Krishna's divine forms. They remember Krishna's qualities. Therefore, they're best of yogis. And what they say, yes, yogis, they were not yogis, because yogis trying to concentrate on Krishna. But here's our problem. We can't forget Krishna. That is highest level of Krishna consciousness. When gopis with love, thinking 24 hours of Krishna, and they cannot forget him. So think of this. So if you can observe yourself in service with memory that why you're doing this, and of course, in order to do that, you need to have Harikatha. You need to hear pastimes of Krishna. You need to read, read and hear from devotees. You need to go deep with your mind, and it will eventually grant you incredible pleasure. And interestingly, what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura and others say, they say, well, in order to chant pure name, you have to have faith. You have to believe. Like, you can't do it without belief. But how you get to that belief? Well, you have to associate with devotees. You have to hear from devotees. You have to repeat what devotees say. You have to, appreciate that stuff. You have to learn how to appreciate prasadam, how to appreciate kirtan, how to appreciate holy name. And that faith will let you go to deeper and deeper level. And as you're going deeper and deeper level, you need to hear more, appreciate more. And it's endless process. So it's never that, well, at a certain point, you stop hearing about Krishna or you stop chanting. Actually, it's wrong. In Krishna consciousness, as deeper you appreciate Krishna, as deeper you're chanting, listening, and remember it's become. And it's become so deep that finally you'll discover yourself in one realm with Krishna. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur say, the pure Vaishnava, he always observes Krishna as his heart. It's like Wi-Fi. Like when you think Krishna is doing his pastimes, he has forest of Vrindavan, he has his friends. It's like you think like his parents or others follow him. No, it would be shame. It would be like so much disturbance for Krishna. Just remember, you're trying to get little play with your friends and then everybody hiding in the forest with the camera and watching you. No, it doesn't work like this. Krishna has absolute freedom. So he appeared for the breakfast. That's why at that time he's been served by mother and father. And then he's going to the forest with his friends and play with them. At that moment, he's dealing with cows, the plants, the bees, and, sometimes in the forest, he probably meet gopis. He's got his own secret language where to show Radharani where they're going to meet, what they're going to do. Krishna has his own secret language. Only few people understand what is really going to happen. And sometimes Krishna disappear. And everybody's like, hey, we were looking for you. And maybe Krishna, at that time, taking shelter of Govardhan, the cave. And just want to hang out with Radharani, have a little rest or, little private time. So, and sometimes he reappear and people say, hey, we were looking for you. Where are you, Govinda? Where are you hiding? And then end of the story, Krishna coming back to the village, and then the parents, they start, they're part of their shift of service. They're feeding him, they're washing him. And, Krishna is very happy. And then, he appeared to be, he's going to sleep, and nighttime he's sneaking to dance place. And that's, time to time they get a special Rasalila pastime, etc. So Krishna has absolute freedom, and no one is disturbing Krishna. But at the same time, his father, his mother, the gopis, the trees, the plants, the bees, the butterflies, everybody remember Krishna. Everybody talk about Krishna. Everybody glorify Krishna. And that's why our teachers, what they explain is like, you need to worship Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna. If you only worship Mahaprabhu, you may not get that deeper precept of Radha and Krishna pastime. But if you only worship Radha and Krishna without Mahaprabhu, you don't get the devotion to understand what it is. So Mahaprabhu unique, Radha and Krishna unique. That's why our gurus, the deities are Guru, Gauranga, Radha, Madhava. That's why in, Radha Govinda, Mahaprabhu Radha Govinda in Govinda land, and Petersburg, and in Moscow, Radha Raman. It has to be Mahaprabhu, Radha, and Krishna. And from the deity stand of view, it was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's special gift to us. But from ontological point, through Mahaprabhu, through pastimes of Sri Gauranga Dev, Sri Chaitanya Dev, we can not only connect with pastimes of Radha and Krishna, we also deeply can appreciate devotees and devotion. So Mahaprabhu is giver of devotion, Govardhan's giver of devotion. So this is like that. Anyway, anybody have any questions? All right, so it's a very practical question, a good question, because sometimes temple devotees making some sweets and they try to sell them to get money to maintain temple. Should that be prasadam? Well, in general, we don't sell prasadam because prasadam is mercy. But we can understand that there's some limitation on this, because Jagannath Puri, you go there, you buy prasadam. And some other places, they also sell prasadam. So then the question will come, well, if we need to earn some money to support ashram, should we sell just regular food or should we sell prasadam? So one time when we opened Jagannath restaurant, we said to Gurudev, sorry, Gurudev, we're not offering every food here. And Gurudev said, well, anything comes from Jagannath must be divine. So there are different types of prasadam, Kanishta Bhagavat prasadam, Uttam Bhagavat prasadam, Maha prasadam. Like for instance, when you go to Jagannath temple and you purchase some prasadam, you'll say, I want some Maha prasadam. But it is not Maha prasadam. The Maha prasadam is what been taken from Jagannath, and because of there's Parvati, Bimala Devi, she is the cause why Jagannath descended to this world. And Bimala, the Parvati, she promised that if I have Vishnu Prasad, I will distribute to everyone. So that Jagannath Mahaprasadam, after being offered to Bimala Devi, that is considered by local people as Mahaprasadam. Not what we have. We have Prasadam, Jagannath Prasadam. And Mahaprasadam is something else. But what has been tested by Bimala is considered to be higher Prasadam. And what has been tested to Guru and Vaishnava is considered to be more higher Prasadam. So different levels of Prasadam. Because remember, Prasadam is just like art. Who can appreciate art? If you show art to barbarian, he cannot appreciate. So if you give prasadam to devotee, devotee can appreciate prasadam. And because of that, prasadam is tested by devotee, is enriched by its own spiritual power. That's why Raghunath Das Goswami, when he decided, remember, Raghunath Das Goswami was the son of a billionaire. His father, Govardhan Zimindar, had billions of golden coins. when Raghunath Das Goswami was chained by his father in the castle, and still he ran to Orissa to become devotee of Mahaprabhu, you know, his father said, okay, my son want to become, you know, a sadhu. What can I do? All right, I still have to do something good for my son. So he sent 400 golden coins and a couple of servants to Puri. And they came to Raghunath Das and they said, look, your father sent 400 golden coins and he sent us a qualified Brahmin, we can cook for you. And, you know, one golden coin, you can like live for a year, or whatever is enough. Like one golden coin would like buy you enough food. So then Raghunath Das Goswami, he thought, yes, my father sent all this wealth, but what I will do is I will make the feast and I will feed all the Vaishnavas and Mahaprabhu. So that in this case, I will purify my father's, you know, money. So then Raghunath Das, for some time, did that. He feed all the devotees with prasadam. And in the beginning, it was good. But then he felt, I'm like a prostitute. All these devotees, like self-realized souls, they fully relate on Krishna. I relate on my father's money. In fact, yes, I'm feeding the Vaishnavas with my father's money, but I'm not living life of the mendicant. I have to become like really, like I have to take next level. Then Mahaprabhu asked his secretary, his servant Govinda and Swarup Damodar, why is Raghunath no longer making the feasts? And they said, well, he actually let these brahmanas go and they told him, take the gold and go. He doesn't want to be relay his father's money on the servants. And Mahaprabhu said, yes, very good. Somebody wants to go deeper in spiritual life, he should not be relying on, you know, capital or servants. Then Raghunath Das, he decided, okay, I go begging by the gate. And anybody throw me a coin or a little prasadam, I'll be happy. So in Puri, still there's beggars. They're begging. And people throw them rice, you know, or coins. So it's kind of mix of everything. So he's there by where the beggars are, and he's one of the beggars. And still, at certain point, Mahaprabhu is very happy to hear this news. Oh, now Raghunath Das begging. Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, he's dependent on me, so now he's begging. That is devotee position. Well, after some time, Raghunath Das said, well, I'm like a prostitute. I'm a beggar. I'm not fully related on Krishna. So he stopped begging and he sit down and just put little bowl in front of him, and anybody pass by will throw something in his bowl. If they don't throw something in his bowl, he doesn't care. He may eat one day, why they not eat? And when Mahaprabhu hear this news, every time he's happy. He said, yes, yes, he's advancing. Raghunath Das is advancing. Every time he's more and more dependent on Krishna, not on external substance, not on your money, not on anything. Then it's very good for him. See, what worked for you in one level doesn't work in the next level. You have to be on a progressive path. That's why Krishna consciousness is progressive path. Of course, for us, we're on a very low level of Krishna consciousness. We are like, I would say, we're candidates for devotion. We're not like devotees. Like, see, Srila Raghunath would not like to use word devotee for everyone and ever. He called practitioners. So we're trying to practice. And sometimes, you know, we're looking for security in our life. So then, finally, Raghunath Das Goswami, he just said, even that is not appropriate. Why I have to distinguish between good and bad? He started going to the kitchen where they would throw prasad, which would be, you know, rotten. And normally cows and animals would eat. But Raghunath Das Goswami, he said, I'm not looking for quality of food. I'm looking for divine substance. So he started taking that rotten prasadam, wash with water, because it was like a little stinking and like little, you know, little, and put salt. So the salt kill all the germs and bacteria, and he would eat this kind of prasadam. Don't try this at home. But One time Mahaprabhu catch him, and Mahaprabhu grabbed some prasadam from his plate, and he said, "Now I understand, Raghunath, why you're hiding from me. You're enjoying yourself, the greatest riches, and you're doing this by yourself. You're very selfish. You never invite me for your feast." And Raghunath is like, "Please don't touch this. This is spoiled food. That's spoiled by me." But Raghunath, but you found some rasa there. You found some taste. You're not going for physical taste. Remember, prasadam is not something physical. You are now expert in spiritual taste. Yes, to distinct the difference between material and spiritual, you went for low spiritual quality, low material quality, but high spiritual. It's polluted food from external point of view, but from internal point of view, prasadam is never polluted. So what it tells is what we're trying to do is to build appreciation, faith, and belief. Appreciation, faith, and belief. And don't try this at home. Why is it you don't have to try this at home? Why you don't try this at home? Because you don't have that faith. Don't try to jump over your head. You want, as people say, you can't jump over your head. Your head is always be up. Well, sometimes in the Olympics, you can see people jumping with foot above the head and, using kind of things. But in general, you have to organically grow in your spiritual path through faith and association. And of course, conditions, because remember, you're in certain conditions. Why are you in certain conditions? Krishna has ultimate plan of your salvation. Don't try to say, "Hey, I'm going to drop my family. I'm going to drop everything. I'm going to ride to Jagannath Puri." And then in Jagannath Puri, you'll like, "Hey, I don't have that, faith to stay in India. I thought India is some kind of a miracle place and the magic will happen to me, and it didn't happen." No, don't do like that. You go organically. That's why, see, some people who has family life, it's not recommended to drop family life until they're done with that. Because, family life, it's a safe position. But the idea in family life that you are gradually discharging your family life, cut your attachments. So, but it's gradual process. It's not what you think you are. It's what you real practice. And sometimes you have to fall down because you will not pass the test. And, many of the great devotees, they fell down innumerously. Why? Like what is the story about Bhimavangal Thakur or many other great Vaishnavas? Many of them did not pass the test. What it tells us, if the great sages, had to regret for the sake of giving us the class, then why we have to be overconfident in our own perfection? We're not perfect beings. Like we're not Siddhas. And, I've been around this Krishna consciousness for some time, and I, have experience of different devotees and sannyasis and different, and I met some very unique devotees. One of them was the Mexican devotee Nitai. He wouldn't care about anything. He wouldn't need anything. One day in Eka Chakra, he came to give dandavats to Nityananda Prabhu, and he died. And I was very sorry that he died like maybe 5 days or 10 days before I came to Eka Chakra. But while I was in Eka Chakra, Acharya Maharaj died. And Acharya Maharaj's body was brought to Eka Chakra, so I understand Krishna sent me to Eka Chakra to do the funerals. But I was very sorry that I didn't see Nitai. And I asked, why he's died. And some Bengali ladies said, well, he had some fever for 10 days, he was sick, and he would barely eat. And I understood there's no one was around to take care of him, because Bengali ladies, they don't know how to deal with Brahmachari. He was Mexican Brahmachari, very humble man. And I remember he would like sleep on the chair. Like he was like a guy, whatever you give him, he will accept. He never had any money, anything. But he's like, okay, give me prasadam, I'm happy. Okay, you want me to go chant, I'm happy. You want me to go clean, I'm happy. Like no ego. Very, very dear, very sweet devotee. And looking little like, little like out of world. Not crazy, like out of world. But then I realized he was a saint. And, what is the glorious passing, the Eka Chakra, Nityananda Dham, coming, giving Dandavat to deities and dying, living body in front of the deities in Dandavat. That's a very glorious departure, very glorious departure. So we can say, yeah, it's too bad. If I stay with him, I could, get him a doctor, take care of him. He could believe longer. That's one thing. But another thing is like this person, he fully withdraw himself from material plane. He, stay several years in India in time of Srila Govinda Maharaj. Then, he stayed in time in India during Acharya Maharaj's reign. And he passed gloriously before Acharya Maharaj and Eka Chakra. And, it's a glorious death. Think of this. To be that far away, to leave the body and the holy time of Nityananda Prabhu. I wouldn't say this is this is some kind of a great, great blessing. And wasn't suffering so much, wasn't very old guy. I think he was in his 60s or something like that. He like lived whole spiritual life and passed. I'm sure he went to very advanced level. And he was very advanced devotee, but you would never say he's advanced devotee. He's always like this, and he never, give like big talks, and he never talks about things, but he's experiencing things. So there are devotees like that, and I met several devotees like that in my life. So I know real devotees. I know they're not bullshit. I'm sorry. I mean, I know a lot of talkers like myself. I can talk. I know in our mission, I know pretty much everybody. And I know a lot of people in our mission, they know how to talk, but they don't know how to walk. They may be very spiritual when they speak, but they're very, unpractical people. But still, they know how to talk about Krishna. It's also very wonderful. But as far as the character, like humbleness, no ego, submission, I would say this guy, this devotee, Nitai, I never met somebody like that from the Western world. He was Mexican, actually. Very simple, very humble. Mexican people by nature is very sweet. Didn't have big ego. Very, very humble. And never, like anything you tell them, he will do. I remember I used to tell, oh, Nitai, you sit down here. Why? Okay, you sit down, it's more comfortable for you. Okay. Just not like, he's not like looking for comfort. If you tell them you sit down here, he will sit down. You tell them you eat this, he say, why? Well, because you haven't eat. You take this prasadam, it's nice. Okay. See, he's like not resisting anything. He's going with the flow completely. A holy Vaishnava, a saint. But who could recognize he's a saint? Even devotees would be around him, even me. Oh, okay, Nitai, a little crazy, a little spiritual, a little divine, Haribol, nice devotee. But you could not realize you're dealing with a saint who's much higher than you are. Just because you're Maharaj, you have big ego, you have big position, you can't even recognize, some devotees. So we need to learn how to recognize who's higher than us. And the only way you can recognize who's higher than you is when that person show you his divine qualities and mercy. So Nitai showed us this, and it was amazing. So I remember him, and thinking of someone like him gives my heart big joy. I'm sure there are devotees like that in our mission. They're humble, simple people. They don't, inquire a lot. They maybe keep quiet, and they're listening, they're chanting, they're praying. I just want to say very frankly, I'm not like that. I have different character, but I appreciate this kind of people, and I love them. And sometimes I think I should have more of their association. We had some association. We traveled together, we preached a little bit together, we went to parikrama together. But, after getting a little realization, you think, well, I'm so sorry, I could have taken more association with this person. I would have more blessings. I would learn more about him. I would have some of his qualities by worshiping his feet. Because I'm lacking those qualities. I need those qualities to continue my spiritual life. Where do I get them? From Vaishnava. Remember, Vaishnava feet and Vaishnava das to feet and appreciation of Vaishnava. That's what grants us Vaishnavism. So that's why in Jaiva Dharma you'll see, Prem Das Babaji Mahashoy, who hiding in Navadvip Dhamma, and he's hiddenly giving dandavat to every animal, every human being, every soul that coming to Navadvip Dhamma. Just imagine, that was his daily routine, giving thousands of dandavats to people who just passing road to Navadvip. Because he knew anybody coming to Navadvip Dhamma is so fortunate. Then he's chanting Hare Krishna and giving everybody his dandavat. Can you imagine this? Such a high soul hiding just to give you respect because you're entering to this plane. Maybe you're a merchant, maybe you're animal, maybe you're policeman, maybe you're somebody who doesn't know why you came here. But because unwillingly, through your great fortune, you're entering Navadvip Dham, the Vaishnava give you dandavat and give you respect. So, that's why Govinda Maharaj used to say, Tridadapi Sunichana, this Mahaprabhu principle, learn how to respect everybody.
Maharaj, we have questions from Ananta Shesha. He asking about renunciation. What is renunciation? Is it the hidden desire of mayavadis?
Well, remember, renunciation is an obstacle. Because according to Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami and Srila Guru Maharaj, there's 3 planes of life: exploitation, enjoyment, and service. So when people go to exploitation and enjoyment, they want to renounce because they feel that enjoyment no longer giving them any taste, is giving them suffering. So they want to renounce. But in service, everything is there. Enjoyment is there, renunciation is there, everything is there in service. You renounce certain things to enjoy certain things, but the mood of enjoyment is not there. The service itself becomes enjoyment. If someone are fortunate enough to be on that plane of consciousness, and how to be on that plane of consciousness is to constantly remember name of Krishna. But in order to have benefit from that name of Krishna, you have to have service and association. It's all lead to service and association. Because service and association give you the faith. And from faith, the holy name will reveal. And if there is no proper faith, there is no proper faith to holy name, this holy name is not valuable. It's become something mundane. It's not a holy name, it's a sound, a physical sound. So through faith, through service, that become Krishna. But you have to hear about Krishna, you have to, serve Krishna, you have to serve devotees, and then eventually it becomes transcendental. Guru is the father, mantra is the mother. But what mother does, she nourishes baby in certain conditions. It has to be proper conditions for baby's nourishment. As we say, don't splash the baby with water. It's considered to be seed of bhakti and bhakti lata bij that need to be nourished. And one of the way to do that in association with devotees, to hear Harikatha, but it's also important to follow Ekadashi. It's very important, actually. Worship Tulasi, do certain things which help you to grow your spiritual life. Because if you don't do that, you'll remain as materialist believer. That's not a Vaishnavism. That's a very beginning stage. That's where we are, actually. We are so-called Bhakta Bas. We are Bas, a shadow of devotion. We may dress like devotees, we may pretend like devotees, we may, because we took initiation, a lot of us took initiation from Guru, but that is very good. But until we have real connection with Guru, spiritual connection, until we have real appreciation of holy name, we're not considered to be true devotees. We've been given credit. We're being credited. It's not, we don't have any own capital. We don't even have one penny. We only have credit card. So when we start paying the credit and we have a credit history, then Krishna will grant us a little bit. Because right now we have more like debit card, or whatever. You can't really use that Sukriti so much. But as we serve and our credit line expand, then take the credit, pay the credit, take the credit, pay the credit. So hear about Krishna, chant the Krishna, hear about devotees, serve devotees. That's like a process. It has to be done many times. Then gradually we build our little spiritual credit history and we build trust, and it will be tested. Well, Maya will test us. Just like this girl said, any system that is not tested are not to be true system. So our faith will reveal when we'll have the test. Just like in school. You study and then the test time is coming. And then you're realizing, have you learned something or not? Because it doesn't really matter how long you spend in university or school. If you didn't pass the test, you have to study again. And that will be endless process, life after life, level after level. I know it's very depressed to hear these ideas of Krishna consciousness, not as easy as we all expect. But if we really look at the life, nothing is easy. To become professional is not easy, to run the family is not easy, to do business is not easy. Why Krishna consciousness has to be easy? Why the most expensive should be like the most cheapest and accessible? Yes, it is accessible by the grace, but you remember in Kali Yuga, what we actually been giving in Kali Yuga is so amazing. Even gods and yogis are dreaming about taking birth on the earth. They say, through Nam Sankirtan and Kali Yuga, that quickly you can liberate yourself. These people stupid. The yogis and gods, they want to be part of Mahaprabhu movement. But for us, it's very difficult to judge all these things because we're very new to this idea. But it's okay, we're gonna grow. Don't be afraid of being neophyte. Don't be afraid of you overestimate yourself. Govinda Maharaj would never say, I'm a great soul, liberated soul. He would just say, I'm a beginner. Govinda Maharaj, our guru, who had some Bengali-born Brahmana, spent from 16 years old all his life with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Paramahamsa Vaishnava. He never played big. He never played big and smart. He always plays small. Remember, the tree that has real fruit will be bound. The tree has no fruit will be straight. The real true under weight of the fruit, it will be, bound, because the fruit has weight. So, like, that's what we need to think today. With all your blessings, I will switch to Russian-speaking class. I'm going to start Russian-speaking class. I'm very happy to get an opportunity to speak in English about Krishna, and I'm learning more about how to relate with devotees, how to express myself in English. English is not my first language. And in fact, I haven't spoken English for a long time. I mean, consistently. And, philosophical English is not easy to use, because you need to have some ways to express yourself. So I highly appreciate for this opportunity. And I know very educated ladies here and people who are native English speakers, so forgive my, imperfections. And Krishna bless you for being in touch with devotees. Let your spiritual progress go day by day, your inner appreciation grow, and that's what it matters. It doesn't really matter what condition you are. It's a material condition. It's good. Whatever you are right now, it's good for you. Don't think, oh, I should be now in India, or I should be here, or should be that. No, don't think like that. That is a mistake. You are, whatever you are, you try to practice, and you try to hear and chant about glories of Krishna and appreciate devotees. And gradually your heart will carry you. Remember, you can be in your place, in your little town, your little apartment, and in your heart you'll be in Vrindavan. Or you can go to Vrindavan and you say, hey, you know what? I'm in Vrindavan, but my heart in my little apartment. So remember, consciousness, that's what matters. So try to consciously connect with external conditions. As bad as it appear to be, it might be good for your spiritual life. And in my case, many times I had so much success. I had big resources coming to me, and I knew it just grew my ego. But, I tried to do some service. But you remember, service with ego, it doesn't work so much. It works, but not so much. So you have to be a little humble and still do the service. So that is important. And if you're in Vrindavan, you can think about Vrindavan. You can help Vrindavan, little donations. You remember, Vrindavan is a very special place of aspiration. We try to serve Vrindavan. We try to be to be appreciative. We need to learn how to appreciate things. So my Dandavat Pranam, Prasad Prabhu, I'm very happy that you are doing this wonderful service. I'm very happy that devotees translating and learning how to translate and get better and better and better, because when you do something repeatedly, you get better and better and better. And so let's meet again next week, and let's stay in touch. My Dandavat Pranam, very happy to see you all satisfied, happy faces, like happy cats, fulfilled, inner, like Maria, I can feel she's smiling, very good. That means hope. That means hope, because we're a bunch of fallen souls getting together. Remember, our path is a spirituality of imperfection. We're a bunch of imperfects who are trying to talk about perfect and share about perfect, and that's the way. Spirituality of imperfection. So my Dandavat Pranam, and I'm switching to Russian Telegram. Dandavats.